This is gonna hurt me a lot. Okay. Should be running fine. I had to stop the recording because that file size was giving me a lot of anxiety, and we still got little bit of more topics to, break down, and so I got to be conscious of the file size. I want to make sure I get this out just before the play-in. But before I fast track into that, let's go back to Sunday's matchups, which for me, an avid Warriors fan, was quite heartbreaking to watch because let's get into it, man. We're breaking down the Warriors versus Clippers showdown from April 13th, a game that had everything and nearly saw the Warriors choke away their playoff dreams, man. This was the regular season finale at Chase Center, and it was straight up banger that went to overtime with the Clippers edging out the Golden State 124 to 119 to snag the fifth seed in the West. All I gotta say is I hate James Harden, I hate Kawhi Leonard, and I hate the Clippers. But before I get into more bias stuff, let's just unpack this all. First, with the stakes, they were massive. The Warriors, sitting at 48 and 33, needed a win to lock in the sixth seed and a first round date with the Lakers. A loss meant slipping to the play in at the seventh seed. And the Clippers at 49 and 32 were gunning for a top six spot, maybe even fourth if Denver had slipped up. But both teams came out swinging, trading blows like heavyweights. Steph was kirking early but dropping 36 points, including 18th in the fourth to keep Golden State alive. But, you know, unfortunately that wasn't enough. And Jimmy, he chipped in 30 and 9 assists, showing why he's Mr. Clutch, but unfortunately today wasn't necessarily in his favor, because it's the Clippers. They had their own stars shining. James Harden, who I mentioned before, went off for 39 points and 10 assists, including 12 points in overtime, while Kawhi added 33. I mean, Kawhi just being Kawhi, man. This game was tied all the way. At halftime, the Clippers led 60 to 58 after Norman Powell's buzzer beating three, which honestly, screw Powell, man. For real, like he had no business kind of cooking that right during those moments. And the Warriors fought back, but turnovers being 16 total, with Steph coughing up 8, kept haunting them. And by the fourth, it was neck and neck. With 17.5 seconds left in regulation, tied at 111, Kawhi stole the ball from Curry, but the Clippers botched the possession, and Buddy Hield's potential game winner for Golden State rimmed out, and overtime was on its way. Now, here's where the Warriors nearly pulled a choke for the ages, man, because in overtime, they had chances to seal it. Curry hit a three to keep it close, but Harden answered with back to back triples to open the extra frame, and then a brutal sequence. Warriors down three. Kawhi misses a free throw, but Leonard grabs the rebound and makes the second. And with Golden State having 6.1 seconds left, plenty of time for Steph to work the second and work his magic, honestly, right? But unfortunately, there was other plans in mind because Hield's tying three clanks, and that's ball game. Yeah, Hield put up a stinker, man, and honestly, that was just heartbreaking because we went from controlling our own destiny to now staring down a play-in game with Memphis, and the Warriors honestly let this one slip. Shades of past seasons where they've crumbled under pressure. You could feel Chase Center air get heavy, man. And unfortunately, this was just another game of that being the case. Now, for the Clippers, you honestly got to give your hats off to them because this was all about grit. Ivica Zubac was a monster with 22 points and 17 rebounds, his 59th double double of the season, outmuscling Golden State's 42 to 25 on the boards. And that rebounding edge, plus Harden's heroics, got them to 50 wins and a first round matchup with Denver. And the Warriors, meanwhile, head to the play in to face Memphis today, actually, on April 15th, and with Steph and Jimmy needing to dig deep to avoid an early exit. This game was a microcosm of both. I don't even know if I said that word right. I probably botched it. And Clippers finding ways to win ugly. And the Warriors are living and dying by the three in their own mistakes. And honestly, I gotta say, man, Buddy Hield should never be allowed to hit a game tying three like that. In any important shot, do not give it to Buddy Hield. Like, keep him away from the ball at all times, anytime we're down three. See, I would rather have Draymond take that shot than Buddy Hield, man. Because let me tell you, it goes all back to the off season. You let Clay go. All right, cool. Who are we gonna bring in? We bring in Buddy Hield. All right, this can go either one of two ways because we're paying him a little bit less, similar to Clay. And at the beginning, he was low key kind of cooking, but as the season went on, Buddy began to slip and just decline. And that's honestly why we decided to trade for Jimmy Buckets. It was because of that momentum shifter. He was supposed to be the guy that gets us into the playoffs. And now here we are. It's the end of the season. We're about, I don't know, I want to say like 5.5 hours away from the play-in starting, and Warriors are about to face Memphis, man, against Ja freaking Morant. And ugh, that was heartbreaking. That was heartbreaking because earlier that week we have a heartbreaking loss to the Spurs because of Harrison freaking Barnes deciding to lock in and just have his revenge game. And honestly, let's just kind of go over that. I do want to go over that because man, that's just so it's heartbreaking, bro, because it was a revenge game and the Spurs had no business winning that. I'm gonna just say that from the jump. But I guess for Harrison Barnes, somebody who's, had history with Golden State, played from 2012 to 2016, won the chip with them in 15, but honestly, I'm gonna just say like we could have had two, but because of his 2016 finals performance, like there's a reason we moved on from him, man. And clearly he felt away because he finished with 20 points, shooting 6 of 9 from the 3 and 2 of 2 from the free throw line, while adding 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal in 36 minutes. His clutch performance capped a Spurs comeback from a 14-point deficit, with Keldon Johnson also contributing 21 points. Honestly, there was nothing you could have done because for the Warriors this game, Steph had dropped a 30 bomb and Butler had added 28, but it just wasn't enough, man. And this just goes back to some of the more bigger issues at hand. Something I think I was starting to talk with one of my boys that I'm starting to see more is look, we're heading into the playoffs, and listen, everybody's going to go for Steph. Like, we can't just keep relying on Steph to be the one man guy to carry everybody. We need other players to step up. And thankfully, AirPods has been doing his role. But to be honest, like looking at it now as the season has ended, Jimmy Butler just has been a little bit disappointing just because, and here's why. For what we traded and for the massive contract that we're paying him, I think it's fair to expect more from Jimmy. You know, we're giving you this much money because we're in a win now mode. We needed you to elevate us and carry us into the first round of the playoffs. And now we're here at the play-in, facing John Morant and Memphis. And to be honest, that game could go either way. You know, I like the Warriors' chances. I really do. I think they're gonna, be the ones and edge it out. But it certainly doesn't help when you have Moses Moody on a day-to-day basis, and seems like he's gonna be a game-time decision. So I'm not too sure about that. But you know, having Moody on the court is definitely gonna be very essential to our defense, just because he's been playing lights out. Like I gotta say, Moses Moody has really impressed me. He's a guy that can, really do it all. And same with Paz. Both of their games have really flourished and have become more as an all-around guy versus just somebody who can specialize on one thing. And I kind of compare Moses Moody to having basically taken up Kaminga's spot. We see more of Moses Moody, we see less of Kaminga. And that's not a knock at Kaminga, but I just feel like we're at a point where we kind of seen where Kaminga's at. We've seen his ceiling. I don't think it's gonna get any better than where we're at right now, just with the way the current roster is constructed. And Moody fits well. I'm gonna be honest. Pause is that one guy that I was kind of and he took that one leap that I was kind of hoping Jimmy would have. Being that second shooter, just kind of all the range and versatility, and just honestly the momentum, the energy boost that Pause provides to this team. He's really been playing outstanding, and I gotta say, from the way we saw him from the beginning of the season having that sophomore slump to the end of the season heading into the play-ins, I think we're gonna have to rely more on Pods, just because I don't know if you know Jimmy can necessarily be that guy anymore. I mean, granted, we still have yet to see playoff Jimmy, so that's why I'm really intrigued about today's game and going forward because this is really where we're going to see the type of player that Jimmy is. You know, we had all the time in the world to sort of get acclimated and into the Golden State during the season, but this is the big league now, right? Forget what happened yesterday. What are you going to do right now to further solidify your Warriors legacy, right? The whole storyline here is this is going to be Jimmy's first ring, and for the rest of the roster guys, Steph and Draymond and the OGs are chasing that fifth ring, and that'd be awesome for me because I'm trying to go to that championship parade. But you know, what can you do? What can you do in this situation? But I think that is pretty much gonna wrap up my thoughts for that game. There is